Hello, basketball people, we have news. Let's go to more news about the Golden State Warriors. I ask you to give a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, as I am a Warriors fan. Jonathan Kuminga, 22, is headed to restricted free agency when the 2025-26 season officially begins on June 30th. The Warriors could resume negotiations with Chicago to trade two-time All-Star center Nikola Vucevic, for whom both parties discussed a potential deal leading up to last season's trade deadline. Nikola Vucevic is a target of the Warriors, who want to trade him for Jonathan Kuminga. Two East teams emerge as Jonathan Kuminga sign and trade suitors. Golden State Warriors forward Jonathan Kuminga is one of the players that could be on the move this offseason, as the restricted free agent is looking for an expanded and consistent role moving forward, reports Hoops Hype insider Michael Scotto. Only time will tell if he'll ever find that with the Warriors, whose doublespeak reveals their layered thoughts about the 22-year-old. However, if not, a sign-and-trade could lead him to greener pastures. After his rough 2024-25 campaign, teams aren't lining up around the block to get him. Nonetheless, Kuminga has two Eastern Conference suitors with a realistic shot at being his future employer. Bulls, Heat emerge as Jonathan Kuminga sign and trade suitors. The Chicago Bulls and Miami Heat are two teams to monitor as potential sign-and-trade candidates for Kuminga, per Scotto. With that in mind, the Warriors have also not ruled out the possibility of retaining Kuminga. Chicago Bulls. If the Bulls were to commit to a sign-and-trade for Kuminga, he would likely get the opportunity he's been looking for with the Warriors. At this point, their rotation is far from concrete, let alone their roster. Nonetheless, barring a trade, Coby White and Nikola Vucevic will be the team's top scorers. With Kuminga averaging 20.8 points per game in the 40 contests that he's played 30-plus minutes, he could step in as the team's third option, if not second in command. Kevin Huerter has a career scoring average in the double figures, 11.6 points per game. Ayo Dosunmu averaged 14.2 points per contest in 26 games as a starter last season. Matisse Buzelis, the 11th pick in the 2024 NBA Draft, averaged 13.0 points per game after the 2025 All-Star break. Still, none of them have generated as much offense as Kuminga when given the same opportunity. Given that Vucevic, Zach Collins, and Jalen Smith can draw bigger players out of the paint, Kuminga could be even better with the Bulls. It doesn't hurt that Buzelis has shown himself to be a capable three-point shooter. In a sign-and-trade, the Bulls' package should center around Patrick Williams, a career 39.2% three-point shooter. Miami Heat. Kuminga is at least a tier below Milwaukee Bucks forward Giannis Antetokounmpo and Phoenix Suns forward Kevin Durant, who the Heat have had designs on. Even so, Miami has had plenty of success with physical forwards who aren't the greatest shooters. Furthermore, Heat head coach Erik Spoelstra has also done well in the player development department. As a result, Kuminga could excel in South Beach. With Bam Adebayo and Khalil Ware still needing to hone their jumpers, he isn't perfect for the starting lineup. The spacing could get even worse if they re-sign Davion Mitchell to be their starting point guard. Though the defensive specialist shot 44.7% from three with the Heat in 2024-25, he's a career 34.4% shooter from deep. He'll have to prove his trays are here to stay. Kuminga doesn't have to start though. Additionally, Spoelstra is one of the few head coaches that's willing to focus more on scoring inside the arc than outside of it. Court geometry and player alignment matters, but he'll allow Kuminga to play to his strengths. Though his standards will require Kuminga improve in all areas, he'll be more concerned about him being a great team player than knockdown shooter. In a sign-and-trade for Kuminga, the framework could focus on Duncan Robinson, a career 39.7% three-point shooter. Jonathan Kuminga will grant Warriors their wish if surging contract rumors prove true. JK doing Golden State a favor again. Having already helped the Golden State Warriors out once by reportedly rejecting a 5-year, $150 million extension before the season, Jonathan Kuminga could be on the verge of doing the franchise another favor. The Warriors find themselves in a conundrum with Kuminga as he prepares for restricted free agency this offseason. Their unwillingness to grant him consistent and considerable minutes alongside the veteran trio of Stephen Curry, Jimmy Butler, and Draymond Green proves they'd probably like to execute a sign-and-trade, but CBA rules prevents them from getting full value given only 50% of the new contract counts as outgoing salary. The surging speculation of Kuminga signing a shorter-term deal might give Golden State a way of their current predicament though, with a growing likelihood that the young forward will remain in the Bay for a little while longer. The Warriors could find it easier to trade Jonathan Kuminga once eligible. According to insiders Anthony Slater and Tim Kawakami on the latest Warriors Plus Minus podcast, Kuminga could be looking at a 2-year contract with a 3rd-year player option. Kawakami floats this could be in the range of a 3-year, $75 million deal, mitigating the risks for the Warriors and making it easier to grant their wish of eventually trading the young forward for something of real value later down the track. The idea of signing Kuminga this offseason just to trade him later has emerged due to the CBA rules, with Slater mentioning in a recent report that waiting for Kuminga's full salary to count would loosen up some of the handcuffs. Kuminga's new contract is evidently going to play a role in later trade discussions with rival teams. If the 22-year-old and his camp were after a $100+ million contract right now, then Golden State's ability to move that much guaranteed money could be more difficult and impact what they could get back in a deal. A shorter-term contract is going to be much easier to move and reduces the chances of the Warriors potentially getting stuck with Kuminga's contract over the long term. Of course, a 2+1 deal could also work in Kuminga's favor, with the hope for him that he can opt out in the 2027 offseason and secure the sort of lucrative deal he initially expected this time around. However, given the ongoing uncertainty surrounding Kuminga's role and playing time with Golden State, this proposed contract framework works much better for the franchise. They will have to give the former 7th overall pick a prominent role to maintain his trade value, but this could just give them an opportunity to thread the needle in an otherwise complicated situation. Jonathan Kuminga's sign-and-trade proposal could net Warriors massive gains. This could be a great return. As the Golden State Warriors enter the offseason, perhaps their biggest and most pressing priority is to either re-sign or find an appropriate return in a sign-and-trade for restricted free agent Jonathan Kuminga. In a mock trade proposed by Fadeaway World, the Warriors, in a 3-team deal, would find an excellent return for the young forward, looping in both the Brooklyn Nets and the Los Angeles Lakers and receiving Dorian Finney-Smith, Dalton Knecht, and the 55th overall pick in the upcoming draft. In the deal, the Lakers would receive both Kuminga and Nets center Nick Claxton, and the Nets would receive Rui Hachimura, Jared Vanderbilt and the Lakers' 2031 first-round pick. Through the deal, Golden State would fill 2 of their biggest needs, gaining a dynamic young player with high offensive upside in the process, and, if such a price for Kuminga is ultimately reasonable, fans of the team should be ecstatic. A 3-team deal could net the Warriors the best return for Kuminga. Kuminga, who averaged 15.3 points, 4.6 rebounds, and 2.2 assists through 47 games last season, will likely command a contract in the $25 million annual value range. While his upside and athleticism is immense, it is unlikely that the Warriors, who owe a substantial amount to their veteran trio of Stephen Curry, Jimmy Butler, and Draymond Green over the next 2 seasons, will be willing to give Kuminga the payday that he is seeking. Therefore, if Golden State is to look to trade Kuminga, they have 2 approaches they can take. They can either seek out a trade for another star and a bona fide 3rd scoring option, or they can pursue a trade for multiple pieces that will help solidify their roster. In the case of this trade proposal, Dorian Finney-Smith, who averaged 8.7 points on 41.1% 3-point shooting last season with both the Nets and the Lakers, would present both a veteran presence and a major upgrade over the Warriors' current pieces on the wing. Dalton Knecht, who the Lakers have already shown a willingness to deal, would bring a dynamic young shooter in Golden State's fold, also filling a backcourt need with a cheap roster spot for the time being. Through 72 games last season, Knecht shot 37.6% from deep on limited volume, but he projects as a major shooter as he develops. Since the Warriors are over the cap, and Kuminga's monetary value in a sign-and-trade can only equal half of his contract, a 3-team deal, especially with 2 teams as in need of scoring as the Nets and Lakers, could present the franchise with the best return for their biggest asset this offseason. While this deal is purely hypothetical, it appears to present a reasonable return for all teams involved, and thus should give fans hope that Kuminga could fetch a similar return. Warriors get stunning Jonathan Kuminga contract update as offseason rumors swirl. Jonathan Kuminga's performance during the Golden State Warriors' second-round defeat at the hands of the Minnesota Timberwolves in the 2025 NBA playoffs has undoubtedly complicated the franchise's plans for the coming months. The 22-year-old forward contributed 20.8 points on an impressive 63.5% true shooting percentage in 5 games against the Timberwolves, with the team's 4-time NBA champion and 2022 NBA Finals MVP Stephen Curry missing most of the series with a strained hamstring. Reliable on-ball scoring talent against a dominant defensive group. Kuminga's status as a soon-to-be restricted free agent will mark a potentially massive shift for Golden State because of the sizable deals he may receive from prospective suitors, like the rebuilding Brooklyn Nets. In fact, recent updates have provided some insight with regard to a possible contract offer that could be thrown the Athletic Wings' way, and how the Warriors could navigate their way through this monumental moment. Projecting a new contract for Kuminga is like trying to master the Rubik's Cube, ESPN's Bobby Marks wrote Sunday morning. Like Josh Giddey, the 22-year-old is a restricted free agent and Golden State has leverage, considering the lack of available money teams have to offer in free agency. As for his next contract, the only thing guaranteed is that Golden State will tender the forward a $7.9 million qualifying offer before June 29. A contract that starts at $25 million gives Golden State the flexibility to fill out its roster and remain below the second apron. After averaging 15.3 points and 4.6 rebounds through only 47 regular season appearances in 2024-25, Kuminga set himself up for an unpredictable experience as a restricted free agent. His outstanding playoff performance only led to an increase in uncertainty. Golden State manufacturing a sign-and-trade deal with the Nets for a player like Cameron Johnson has been rumored for the past few months, and inking the former number 7 overall pick in the 2021 NBA draft to an annual salary of around $25 million could be a telling sign that their general manager Mike Dunleavy could be working out a deal with Brooklyn behind the scenes. Warriors projected to draft new splash brother. The Golden State Warriors might have found their next splash brother, or at least a reliable floor spacer, in the second round of the upcoming NBA draft. With just one pick heading into the 2025 NBA draft, the Dubs currently own the 41st overall selection via the Miami Heat. According to Bleacher Report's Jonathan Wasserman, the Warriors are projected to use that pick on Kentucky sharpshooter Kobe Brea, a 6 feet 6 inches guard/wing known for one thing above all: elite shooting. Brea joins a rare group of college players 6'6" and over who've shot 42% or better from deep on at least 700 career attempts. Many in that category, like Allen Houston, Dennis Scott, Jason Capono, Kyle Korver, Sam Hauser, and Steve Novak, went on to carve out impactful NBA roles as shooters. The projection? A Duncan Robinson-type specialist with real staying power. Warriors' sharpshooting solution? The Warriors have long prioritized perimeter spacing and high IQ movement, and Brea could be the kind of low-cost addition that seamlessly fits their offensive blueprint. With Stephen Curry and Jimmy Butler consuming a significant chunk of the cap, and new CBA penalties discouraging high-spending teams from chasing mid-tier free agents, Golden State needs to maximize value in the second round. And that's where Brea comes in. After beginning his career at Dayton, the Dominican-American wing transferred to Kentucky for his final collegiate season. Despite the change of scenery, Brea didn't miss a beat. He averaged 11.6 points per game while leading the SEC in three-point shooting at 43.5% on nearly 6 attempts per game. The season prior, he led all of Division I with a blistering 49.8% clip from deep. That kind of volume and efficiency is hard to find, especially at 6 feet 6 inches. Golden State's roster math. The Warriors don't need Brea to be a star. But they do need contributors, especially ones who can step in and hit shots while playing within a structured system. With Moses Moody and Brandon Podziemski still developing and Jonathan Kuminga's return uncertain, Brea could fill a specialized role from day one. His skill set mirrors the likes of Robinson, Korver, and other classic NBA specialists, players who don't need the ball to change games. And at 22, Brea brings both experience and polish, something Golden State's veteran core may appreciate as they try to remain contenders. Draft night focus, shooting, fit, and value. Golden State has made its name on shooting and chemistry. Brea checks both boxes. Whether he pans out like Duncan Robinson or carves his own lane, he'd enter the league with one elite skill already NBA ready. In the second round, that's often all it takes.